Hey everybody, my name is Mia and I'm with Vanguard Inc. We're going to be talking today about the new 2025 R4 release for the Sage Intacct Construction Edition. And I'd like to get us started with talking about a new Retainage release feature. This new enhancement is going to give you deeper visibility and more control over retainage management for both accounts payable and accounts receivable bills. So whether you're managing subcontracts, vendor retainage, or customer invoices, this update streamlines how you view and drill into the details. Let's walk through what's new, why it matters, and how we can start using it today. So I'm going to head to accounts payable, and you'll see retainage right here. Now we have a new retainage release detail tab, so you can drill into the retainage bill. I can drill into my subcontract. It's all here in one place, which is great. We've also added it to the bill page. So if you go into an AP bill, you'll now see a new tab for retainage release details, where you can drill in here as well. You can also export to CSV, and you can even filter this table too. So now you can immediately see which retainage release batch has been generated on a given bill and whether that batch has been processed. The new General tab group has the usual options and details under the header. And on the bill details page, you can now see the list of the bills that have retainage amounts held. And we can also drill into, like we can on most other pages. This is important because retainage is a critical control in construction accounting. Deferred payments to vendors, withheld income from clients, and all the required tracking conditions are met, and then we can release retainage. So with this feature, you get improved transparency into which batch or invoice trigger the retainage release. So this is the retainage release invoice. And now we can filter, sort, and export into a grid. I'd like to show you where it is for accounts receivable. Similar setup. You can turn off your enhanced list right here if you don't like that view. So if there was invoices here, I can drill into them, and I can also export similar to the AP page. All right, so here are all the project invoices, the retainage invoice numbers. I can drill into the customer to see if they are compliant before I release retainage. And it will also show up on our invoices as well here. So before you use it, there are a few prerequisites to check. You want to make sure you have the appropriate subscription to the Construction Edition. You want to make sure that you have the accounts receivable and accounts payable module, and that your company is also configured for retainage. So here are some tips to get the most out of this update. You can use the export to CSV feature here, which can feed into your project accounting dashboards. I'd recommend training the AP and AR teams to link bills and invoices to the corresponding retainage release batches, so your audit trail stays clean. And you can also use the filter and sort features to highlight unprocessed batches. So you can add a filter here if you'd like to see batches that have been processed or unprocessed. Once this is configured, you can incorporate this into your monthly review of retainage release details into your project, and you can also use this for closeouts or reconciliation processes. So today we spoke about the new feature for the retainage release details. On the AP and AR module, we've added a tab to the bills and invoices page. And there's also a section now under Retainage for both AP and AR. Where you can drill into all the details here and export if needed. Hope you've enjoyed this video. Here's to smoother retainage management on your next project. Thanks for watching. Today we're going to be diving into a new enhancement for construction project-based billing. This update allows excess billing on progress-based contract lines, so your typical AIA style projects. So let's head to our project contract area under projects. And these are all my contracts, and we know that we add lines to our contracts. This is where we add our schedule of values. So let's head into a fixed lump sum contract. Let's get into line 1. So previously on the progress bill, we could only set it to total revised price. So if you had a change order on that line, it would encompass everything. Now we can select no maximum. This was only allowed previously for the time and material style billings. So now we can choose no maximum when we generate invoices on the project invoice page. So let's head over there to the generate invoices. And I'd like to bill this project contract. So let's set line 1 to no maximum. So this way, if the scope of work isn't set, I don't need to have a change order to overbill this amount. So let's go to generate invoices. I'll select project contract first. I'll put my contract in here. Make sure your invoice and GL post date matches your billing through date. And select the correct template. I'm going to be doing an AIA style billing. We'll draft the bill. Make sure your display options are set to what you would typically see on a progress bill. Now we'll preview. Put your invoice number in. Let's head down to our bill lines. So here they are. And now for line 1, I can bill more than the revised total price. Let's create our invoice. Let's view our invoices under Invoices View. So previously, if the progress bill line was set to total revised price, I wouldn't have been able to overbill that line. But because I put no max in, I can now bill over. And your invoice form might look different. But we now have this option to overbill the line. Okay. So this matters for construction companies and project-based firms that are using progress billing. There might be a situation in your contract where it doesn't stipulate a fixed maximum price. So with this new option, you no longer need to manually revise the contract line by using change management to remove that cap. So it's going to give you more flexibility, and you can bill based on your progress achieved without worrying about hitting a hard cap. So this can streamline your process and reduce administrative friction. And this is if your scope is open or evolving currently throughout the project. This feature is available for construction modules enabled in Sage Intacct, and you must have a contract and you must be under the project billing generate invoices. Some things to think about when you're using no maximum for contract lines. You want to make sure that the scope is open and that is outlined in your contract. You might want to maintain some internal controls. So you ensure the team reviews the cost versus billing. You're still reviewing your project margins. And you should communicate this feature to your project management team so they understand when to use no maximum versus leaving a specified billing cap. So still keep an eye on reporting. Even though the cap is gone, you may still want to set alerts on your dashboards if the contract lines have high billing amounts. So what this feature does, to recap, when you're setting up your project contract lines for progress bills, you can now select the progress bill to have no maximum. Previously, this was only allowed for T&Ms. So this is going to streamline workflow. You don't need to now issue a change order to overbill on that line. So this is a pretty cool feature if you have an open scope or some milestone type billing, because this allows you to have excess billing on progress-based contract lines. Previously, we could only do it for time and material lines.
And next, we're going to talk about a few enhancements to the work in progress or WIP management area. So I'm going to navigate to projects, setup, configuration, and show a new feature here that they've included in the work in process management area. And scroll down to the bottom to get to this area. The include projects that have no job to date costs or billings option is now available. So prior to this, the jobs that had no costs or no billings, even though you included it in the WIP management area, those were not showing up. If you turn this on, those will now show up. Okay. The other feature that they have included in this 2025 R4 release is related to the WIP management tool. So over here in projects, all WIP schedules, I now have a few more options here in the dropdown. So how it works is I'm going to pick this one here. And notice my job to date billings are 8.4 million. My job to date costs are 235,000, and I have nothing in my CFO forecast cost at completion and CFO forecast contract value. So first I'm going to do the set project costs to 100% complete, and notice it's copied my job to date costs over to my forecast cost at completion. Then if I do the set billings to 100% complete, it's going to copy my job to date billings over to my CFO forecast contract value. And remember, these two columns are used in the calculation of the over under calculation. Okay. So it takes your percent complete times your contract value here to get the earned revenue, and then job to date billings minus earned revenue. That's how the over under calcs here. So those buttons make it easier to set your job to 100% complete with billings and costs.
One cool update in R4 is the ability to select specific vendors for the AP Ledger report. Until now, when we ran the AP Ledger report, we could run for all vendors, filter on vendor type, or we could do a range of vendors. While these options were good, they were a little limited if we needed to run on a few select vendors. For example, if we wanted to run on 16, 79, and 83 specifically, we'd need to run 3 separate reports. Now, though, they've added in this multiple vendor section. If we click on select vendors here, then we can search and find our individual vendors. And once we do so, we'll be able to run a report on just these 3 vendors.
In this release, we now have the ability to include unposted journal entries in the general ledger reports. Those reports are the general ledger and the journals report. You'll now be able to include draft and then anything that's in the journal entry approval process before being approved. So submitted, partially approved, and even declined. Please note that this is only things that are posted directly to the general ledger, not transactions and subledgers. So not draft bills, not draft AR invoices, just journal entries. So let's get into it and run a general ledger. So I'll go back home and then I will show y'all. The now running a general ledger has this include these transactions drop down. And by default, every time it's going to say posted transactions only. But I'm going to switch it to posted and unposted. And then I'm going to select draft because I don't have approvals on in my instance. But if you did, you would be able to see all of the steps before approved. Also included on the general ledger now is the show filters selection, which pops up and is automatically on when you have unposted transactions included. So I'll hit view and we'll see what's new. Now we have our transaction state, which is posted for the journal entries I posted, and draft for the ones that I have in draft. And again, it's drillable. You can click down into these and see the exact entry I've made. You can even post it from that screen. And then at the bottom, here's our filters and prompt selections. It does say that it is included unposted transaction, both posted and draft. And that will print out if you print it to PDF or export it to Excel. Just so no one is under false pretenses that this is a final general ledger. So play around with this new feature. We think it's good for planning and seeing the effects of your unposted entries on your general ledger. And let us know what you think down in the comments. Thanks.